Good morning. We'll call the meeting to order for the day. First item is approval of the agenda for today.
Move approval. Second.
Motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Citizens to be heard. Any citizens who would like to be heard on any item that is not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Approval, payment of bills and vouchers.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion and a second to pay the bills and vouchers. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Approval of the minutes from the February 28th and March 5th, 2019 meetings.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Flood update. Gabe, come on up.
Morning.
Good morning.
Commissioners. I'll introduce, this is Heather Winkleblack. She is the Region 3 Coordinator for Homeland Security Emergency Management. So she's my guide and kind of supervises this region. So she's with just to help with any questions maybe on some of the, I guess, procedures for declaration and stuff like that, you know, if
Great.
that were to happen.
Good. Thanks. Welcome.
Yeah, so as far as what's been going on, I can start off with just kind of a brief. Yesterday, Greg Gust from the National Weather Service, they've updated their flood forecasting to bi-weekly. So on Mondays and Thursdays, they're giving out updates. And right now, things are looking really good as far as the melt. Above freezing during the day, below freezing at night is ideal. They are watching, it looks like possibly next week, there might be a little change in our weather pattern, so I'll know more on Thursday as far as any changes that may affect that. But right now, things are looking good as far as that goes. That being said, I've been working pretty closely with the Moorhead Emergency Management Director. Obviously, Moorhead's really ramping up stuff. So yesterday I spent pretty much the whole day with him just going over stuff regarding the city of Moorhead.
Who is that?
Chad Stanglin. He's one of the Moorhead firefighters over there. So he was around, I think, during the 13 flood and you know, some of the other ones. 09, I believe, it probably was when he started. So anyway, he's been a great resource for me, and like I said, I've been helping him out immensely with just kind of getting that going. So I can't speak for the city of Moorhead, but I would I anticipate at some point they will look at declaring.
Okay.
But again, I don't know when or for sure if that's going to happen. I just I anticipate that would happen.
I thought I heard that Mayor Judd was going to be declaring a state of emergency.
Yeah, and that very well could be. I had some meetings with them. Anyways, in meeting with Chad, we have come up with our incident command crew. We've assigned all those positions for the Emergency Operations Center, and we've established some trigger points for when we feel it would be necessary to activate the Emergency Operations Center. So obviously Moorhead is more dependent on the level of the Red River. Out county or out metro area is more dependent on the overland flooding. So we've got some trigger points established for that. So that stuff's in place. On the 29th of March, we are going to, if we're not already activating the EOC, we are going to do a mock activation and just kind of go through some workflow stuff and whatnot, set it up. Obviously, we're in a new building now. We did set it up once last fall, but just to set up and get some of the new people in there and go over some workflow stuff. So something kind of new to the Emergency Operations Center is Web EOC, which is a online based reporting system to the State Emergency Management Center. So that's new to us. We did have a training on that last week. So myself, Chad, and then some of our office staff that will be doing a lot of the data entry sat in on that. So that, again, that's another good reason for activating or doing a mock activation on the 29th, just to work on some of that
Which
stuff.
day are you doing that on?
It'd be the 29th, which is a Friday.
29th.
So we're going to do that in the morning. We'll fire it up at 9 a.m. and then it should be done by noon. We're going to run through a small scenario. And it won't be a full activation as far as we wouldn't be bringing in some of the other, like the DNR, Highway Patrol, things like that. This is more just kind of the main players that do a lot of the data entry and record keeping and stuff like that. So work out some of those issues.
So if any of the board members want to stop by.
They most certainly can stop by and we can show them around and whatnot.
Are you involving Tim Dent in that?
What's that?
Are you involving Tim Dent in that with, from here?
Not for the, well, yes. Actually, Mark Sloan and Tim
Okay.
both, yep, will be involved. with
I
that.
just, you know, I'm thinking with that new building and that, all that new technology there, it's never really been tested, you know?
Yeah, no,
under
IT's
under
been,
the extremes that you would have with the EOC?
Yeah, I deal with IT on a pretty regular
Okay.
basis over there with the new technology and stuff
Okay.
like that. So, yeah, they're definitely involved with that. And then last week, I had some meetings with department heads throughout the county and whatnot, just to kind of go over, at this point, mainly documenting their, any sort of flood preparation activities and whatnot, so we have a good record of that prior to any full-fledged flood fighting going on here. And then today I have meetings with the Red Cross, Salvation Army, and then also a volunteer coordination meeting with, it'll be Marty and myself, and then someone from the city of Moorhead, someone from the county, and possibly First Link, just to go over how we are going to recruit, coordinate volunteers, and then also go over like a waiver and whatnot. So
Sure.
we're covered that way. I'll have the county attorney's office review that to make sure they approve of any sort of waiver. Later this week, I have a regional, at the Armory in Moorhead, we have a regional emergency management directors meeting. That's tomorrow. There's going to be a tabletop exercise associated with that. That'll be EMs from pretty much all of northwest Minnesota. They'll be there and some other players. Kind of go over what resources the Guard has available for us and how to use them. And then tomorrow afternoon, I have a flood briefing meeting with the city of Moorhead, and meeting with Overbo and Kim Carpenter with the Highway Department, kind of go over some of that stuff. And then also a public safety meeting, so we're going to kind of take, I'll be meeting with the DNR, some of the other agencies that will help with any sort of rescue operations and things like that in the event we need that. And then also in the process of just revising our flood operations plans. So Julie Sabat's going to be helping with that again and whatnot. Monty Martin's been a big help with getting some of our gear and stuff ready. Some of the equipment that we have, we're getting serviced and whatnot, making sure it's ready, generators and things of that nature. So I've been really busy.
Sounds like it.
Do you guys have any questions for myself? Or?
Anything?
I have a couple. In our past floods, the area of Oakport that's now within the city limits,
Yep.
that was all, like for example, Wall Street goes under.
Mhm.
You know, it's within the proper channels of the levees, it goes under, but in the past, that was the county's responsibility to block that. So are you communicating with Moorhead on that now?
Yes, yep, and actually yesterday Chad and myself
Okay.
brought up the old Oakport
Yeah.
operations plan, and that will be Moore's responsibility now as far
Right.
as Oakport itself, but obviously, you know,
Okay.
my role would be to assist them and
Sure.
whatnot.
Okay, okay.
So and you would know this better than me, but is 70th Avenue now, is that built up to 42 feet?
Yeah, that's 70th is fine. So what would happen is one would go under at 26.
Yeah.
With the low bridge there. The bridge going across in North Dakota stays open, but once you come across, your only option is to go north on one.
Right.
Except for local residents would use that to get to Second
Yeah.
Street and that area there. And then they'd go up and then they'd have to take, I refer to it as 93.
Yep.
You know, it's 70th Avenue. Then they could take 93 and go over to Highway 75.
Okay.
And I would hope that we could probably, you know, do something so that there's very minimal semi-traffic coming across that bridge, if it indeed, so Wall Street starts to go under at 34
Mhm.
feet, you know, so it doesn't take too much, and that road ends up being closed, I think, at 35, I think.
Yeah, okay.
If you close that to semi-traffic, isn't that a major haul route for sand from northern Clay County to the?
Well, and that would be
terminal?
obviously exempt from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But, and that'll be, obviously, Moorhead will be the ones on Wall Street, at least within the Oakport now.
Most of the sand that's
Terminal.
going over to Fargo, I think, is going over I-94.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing I guess I forgot to mention is sandbags. We do have approximately 250,000 sandbags here that obviously aren't filled, but available. So I know Moorhead has a number kind of that they're looking to fill, and then obviously, we, we'll have extra for
Rural areas.
the rural areas, yeah. So, any other questions? Excellent. Well,
Thank you,
Thank
good
you.
report. Yeah, it sounds like you're,
So Heather, who was the
Ready
name
to
of
go.
the lady that was in your position in?
Mary Hildebrand.
Yes, so she was there in both 97 and 09.
Yeah.
Yeah, I worked a lot with Mary back
And
then.
I'm friends with her on Facebook, so I'm in
Okay.
contact with her, and she's
Yeah.
given me some stuff to check out, and they're already way ahead of all of it, so we're doing good.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, would you like Gabe, just kind of a standing agenda item until
Until it passes.
until passed?
It might not be a bad idea, but,
Sure.
and then, for Sheriff Emting, as we look into this, not look forward to, but as we look forward in planning, at some point in time, you are the one who has the power to call on the National Guard, so I don't know to what level you've worked with Bill on that or whatever to school up on that. I think it would be good.
Yeah, when I was in the sheriff orientation school, they did hit on that.
Okay.
How to do that, things like that, and also work with Gabe as well.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
And maybe Heather can help him. I believe once, if we declare a county emergency and then a state emergency is declared, then the Guard is available to us.
Yeah, okay.
thanks, guys,
Question.
appreciate
I
it.
have a question,
Oh,
Vic,
sorry.
about your updates on the Mondays and Thursdays. So in the past with big storms, you've forwarded any of that information to us?
Yeah.
Feel free to continue that.
I will.
Is it a PowerPoint call in?
Well, so the one we got this Monday was just basically a brief little synopsis, but generally on Thursdays, they'll do a webinar PowerPoint.
Okay.
And yeah, I've been kind of, the last webinar ones, I didn't send out, so I inherited a list from Brian that is
Yep.
like 200 and
Yep.
some. And I know some people don't like that, so last week I kind of pared it down a little bit and sent it out to Steve and stuff, but I'll make sure I include the commissioners on that. So,
Thank you.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Nice meeting you, Heather.
Thank you.
Okay, Janelle, come on up. Department update on the probation department.
Good morning.
Morning.
Brought a couple of handouts that I'll just pass around. We have a small department, so not a lot of changes. We did have 2 staffing changes. Lindsay Turnus was promoted to career agent at the end of 2018. And Eric Ness replaced Kirsty Knold. And so those were just our 2 staffing changes. We have 2 agents that handle adult gross misdemeanor offense supervision, and then we have 3 juvenile agents. And then we have 1 agent that works out of the contract office handling specialty court related to the drug court and veterans court. In 2018, we also did a relocation. We moved from the juvenile detention center building over to the family service center building. Just a little bit of update as far as caseloads. Caseloads have remained pretty consistent. The juvenile caseloads remain pretty much at that 34, 35 individuals that they supervise within the community. Those are active cases, what we consider to be active. They also have inactive caseload. Those ones pertain to kids that are placed at a home, transfers out that they still monitor, and then also those that are in placement that they still keep in contact with. They do still meet with those individuals face-to-face because they fall in that DHS statute that they have to have face-to-face contact at least once a month while kids are in placement. The same is true for the adult caseload. That's remained pretty consistent. Shelley Ford and Brick Young are the 2 agents that supervise the gross misdemeanor clients, and they hold 80 active caseload or clients that they supervise. That seems like a lot, but they are at different supervision levels. Some of the clients that they supervise may be at a minimum level of supervision. That's based on their risk assessment. And so they meet with them once every 3 months. Other ones, they're once a month or once every 2 months. And I did attach a sheet so that you could review that later about what is the Department of Corrections contact standards, supervision levels, how do they get there. We have several risk assessment tools that we utilize to determine how often we should be meeting with individuals. And then I also attached our integrated principles of evidence-based practice that speaks to when we do meet with individuals, what should that look like to be purposeful in meeting with individuals. There are several things that should occur during that contact. So I also attached that for your review as well. Our agent that covers the specialty court related to the drug court and the veterans court, he works with approximately 16 to 18 individuals ongoing. We've had some graduations, as you're probably aware, with drug court or veterans court. They are trying to increase the number of participants in those courts. I think some of that relates to changeover with county attorney's office and those kind of things, so we do hope to increase that as well. Currently, Agent Mike Schomer is working on what we call a COSA support group for veterans in the community, and so we're trying to partner with the Department of Corrections, who also already has a support group in the metro area. It's called On Your Feet. And so we'll kind of mirror that and not have to recreate some things, but kind of build off of that and bring that to this community. I think we have a meeting pertaining to that on Thursday to discuss that further and how we could implement that locally. And basically it's based off of restorative justice, doing a circle process, support, bringing in some volunteers, veterans within the community to volunteer, offering support to those that are involved in the veterans court locally. So that'll be beneficial. We also have the domestic violence specialty court here in Clay County. We have 71 people actively involved in that our offices supervise, which is a lot. Again, thankfully, we have different levels of contact that are mandated by that. The contract office, the 2 agents that work out of that supervise 45 of those 71, so that too is a high number. Community work service, I think there were 2,862 hours that were assigned last year in 2018, and of that, 2,560 were completed. So that's a good number. They typically have the option to pay a fine in lieu of doing community work service, and so some of them may have opted to pay a fine rather than work that off. We do utilize the STS crew as well as county maintenance to try to get individuals that are court ordered to do community work service to be involved in those organizations so that it's monitored and can be tracked well. We also have the juvenile offender restitution program. It appears that I think 4 cases, a juvenile worked off their restitution, was able to pay back to the victim. The money utilized in that is money that's collected from supervision fees pertaining to gross misdemeanor adult cases. Anybody placed on supervision for gross misdemeanor offense is assessed a $200 fee, which goes back to the county. And this county, not every county, but this county has chosen to allocate some of those funds for a juvenile offender restitution program, which is nice because a lot of communities don't have that ability, and then victims don't recover financially from being a victim in those situations. The state of Minnesota in 2018 Many times, an individual is placed on felony supervision, but they may also have a gross misdemeanor offense. So then they would be supervised out of the felony office. The fees collected typically went to the state then. So the supervision fee for that gross misdemeanor, if that individual is being supervised under a felony offense, would go back to the state because all of the money collected would go to the department that was supervising. In 2018, the Department of Corrections has asked us to be more conscientious of that locally. And if a felony agent is supervising and someone pays off their supervision fees in a gross misdemeanor file or a misdemeanor, that we give that back to the county. So we've just started to get involved in that process and trying to get a system down as to how to do that. So the county should see some more funds coming through that.
Got a question on the restitution.
Yep,
Who determines how much the restitution is?
the court does. Typically, someone that's going into court, they receive affidavits of their loss, and then they bring that forward through the county attorney's office to the judge, and then the judge determines if their request for reimbursement is appropriate, how much that is, and then it's court ordered. And then our agents track payments of that and how they can repair the harm done to the victim, whether that's financial or in some other means.
Thank you.
Yep. Sentence to service program, as we've talked about in the past, busy with different updates on the campus and those kind of things. One of the biggest things leading into 2019, our STS crew leader was injured during a training, and so he has been out since January 4th. I'm not sure of his return. I am working with the Department of Corrections to, upon his return, it's important that he's able to do the STS work. He has received a workability statement that would allow him to come in and do training and those kind of things, but that would not be beneficial to the county. And so we're really trying to work through when he would be able to come back and manage a crew. So I'll keep you posted on that.
So is that work on hold until he can come back?
It is. Joe from maintenance did reach out. He's trying to work with some that may be in custody. If they're eligible, that they would be able to work with his crew or him in the meantime. Budget updates, not a lot there. We stay pretty consistent. During the budget review, I did indicate that we had 2 purchases to look at. We would like to reinstall our security system that we had at our previous location. The agents and other staff have pendant alarms. That is slated to be installed today. We did get a discount because we have another office through the Department of Corrections also doing an installment, so we put some of the travel expenses under that, so I think it was reduced by $200. And then the other thing was a speaker for the lobby, and that was a higher price. I think the estimate was $800, but we found a different mechanism that would work for under $100. So, so those are the biggest things I think for 2018 and going into 2019. I attached our staff list, and again, just kind of contacts, supervision levels. The Department of Corrections continues to look at that. I did note in the handout to you that we have had 2 line of duty deaths within the Department of Corrections. The department is also looking at field services, their safety. We're looking at partnering agents when they're out doing home visits. We're especially appreciative and thankful of local law enforcement that are always available to us. We do contact them to assist us with doing some of the home visits with clients that we have concerns, whether it's chemical dependency, mental health, those kind of things. They also respond quickly to our office when we need assistance or someone to be taken into custody. Questions?
Any questions for Janelle?
Just a statement, I know we worked a lot, I don't know if it was May or June, but the commitment that this board has to continuing the STS presence in the community, and so I appreciate your work with that, and I know that I've heard from a lot of people in southern Clay County that really appreciate the work that they do, whether it be the Save and Harvest Days or the fair or whatever. So thank you to Mark and that crew for their continued work there.
Thank you.
Anything else for Janelle? Thanks, Janelle.
Thank you.
And thanks to you and your crew. We appreciate what you guys do, so.
Thank you.
Kevin, you want to give your committee report? Because I know you have to leave here in a little bit, so.
Okay, thank you. Last Tuesday afternoon, we had a highway tracking committee meeting, and we talked and looked over the 5-year plan, and I think that's going to go before the public. what day is-
Thursday night.
Thursday from 5:30 to 7:30, and then we'll be looking for board approval on the 26th. You have later on the agenda today, and I do have to leave for Fergus Falls for a Lakes Country building project thing, but the issues that Dave is bringing forward, all those have been, and Frank can talk to them, but they've all been recommended by the highway tracking to approve. That includes the proposed 2019 equipment purchases. We did have a little discussion regarding the concerns Dave has for subdivision roads. I think that's something that's going to have to be discussed with, moving forward with planning commissions on new ones, and then he's looking at a chip seal project throughout the county. Then yesterday, we had a executive committee meeting of the Diversion Authority. I think we went over several things. This afternoon, we have a special meeting of the Diversion Authority at 1. And with that, they're going to be signing the new project partnership agreement, which increases the federal funds from $450 to $750 million. We have received some information regarding litigation going on, and there was the DNR filed their brief to the federal court last Friday. And what was interesting in that, that we found very interesting in that, was that the DNR has taken the position that any work in North Dakota, they would not oppose it as long as the judge ordered them to stay within the conditions of the Minnesota permit. So I think that was something that's going to play out in an actual trial on April 1st. But it was nice to see the DNR take that position. Then yesterday we had the West Central Juvenile Center project. That one continues to really bubble up on the contingencies. I know it was 2 weeks ago that this board approved that at $70-some thousand, and that number is, since that approval, has gone from 70-something to 90,000. It just continues to be of concern, I guess, but we're looking at other options to help bring that down. So other than that, the project is still moving along on time. In the afternoon, we had the owners meeting on the jail and the LEC. Obviously, the LEC is about done. There's one little request for a change in the LEC, but by and large, that's moving along. That should be totally enclosed. On the phase 2 of the jail project, that's going to be totally enclosed by the end of April, hopefully. So, along with that, there was a proposed letter that's been developed, and that has to do with the roads and the parking areas that still remain done that were part of the project. And we had the highway department draft those plans. There's for what work remains to be done on the streets and curb and gutter, and so that's going to be coming before this board here probably in 2 weeks, and that's going to be the recommendation is going to be to have that go through and be supervised by construction engineers. That ends my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda, jail ministry update. Jenny Stahl. Good morning.
Thanks for the invitation. I'm Shanae Stahl. My husband and I live in Morgan Township, and I'm representing Clay County Jail Ministry this morning. And probably not going to tell you anything that you don't already know, but I just want to encourage you with what's going on. So a lot of exciting things. I don't really have any handouts, but you can each take one of those. Well, the jail ministry, first I just want to thank you guys, because with the new LEC and the language we have to change, I understand, from jail to correctional, which is really hard to do, but with all the intentions that you had and Sheriff Bill Berquist and Julie and everybody to make that a correctional facility where we aren't just housing people, but we're helping people to get a second chance and be successful when they leave the jail or the correctional facility. So thank you to all of you for listening and making space in the new facility for them to do that, to have programs. And we started this ministry just about 5 years ago, and for the first 4 years, I was in jail ministry and never was in the jail. We just did ministry outside, reentry program, backpack program, help them with housing or rides here or there if they needed court date to get to their court dates and they didn't have transportation or all those kinds of things. But it felt odd that I was in jail ministry and I could never go in the jail because there was no space for us to go in there and have ministry or classes or programs. And so you have all seen that need and made it possible, and I know it was not an easy task. And so I want to just encourage you that a lot of good things are going on in there. So as a result of that, and with Julie's support, she's just been so wonderful to welcome our program. We have about 14 hours of programming a week through Clay County Jail Ministry. Just last night I led a class, parenting class. We have parenting classes, financial classes on training on finances, anger management. Next week we're starting a few different classes. So it's just really wonderful to see that, you know, not a lot of people come to the classes, probably anywhere from 1 to 8, or, you know, it ranges, but people that are wanting a change, they have an opportunity now to kind of seek that. I heard a few years ago, I've been on our township board for like 19 years, and a few years ago at one of our meetings, I think one of you shared some numbers from the county, and I think it was about 60% of our funding, I probably have this wrong, but is for social programs for children that are misplaced because their parents are not able to take care of them for whatever reason. And so the reason I'm so passionate about jail ministry is because it really does affect our whole community, and you know that. It affects their families, it affects the grandparents, it affects the schools, it affects the foster families, it affects not just the person that's incarcerated, it affects our tax dollars. You know that everything costs so much money. And so these people we're hoping that they can get a second chance.
Janice, maybe another way to look at that is probably 1 in every $10 that we levy for taxes that goes towards juvenile issues.
So at least 10% of all the money.
That's of all, not just not of the Social Security, social services budget, but
Right.
1 in 10 of all of our funds.
Yeah, so it's just the big picture. So now it's just encouraging. We're starting to see a little bit of fruit from all the things that you guys have put into place to start moving forward. And one of the things that we worked on in our ministry are crossing home houses, which is to help them when they leave jail to come alongside. I recently heard someone say, we're at our worst when we're alone. We tend to make poor decisions, we don't have encouragement, we don't have accountability. We fall into bad habits, and that's what they're scared of. Last night at my class, one girl, she just kept crying because she's so scared to get out because she doesn't trust herself, and she needs help. She needs help, and she doesn't want to go back. She doesn't want to go back to what she's been doing and ruin her life. It's just 4 children who are misplaced right now. So our crossing home houses are faith-based houses that they can live in. They have to apply, they have to be working or trying to find a job, they have to be attending Bible study in church and getting classes, and so they can't just, it's not just a flop house they can move into and a place to live for free. It's a place if they want to really get help, they can go and get help. So we have, in the last year, opened 2 more of those houses. We have 3 men's houses, 2 in Moorhead, and 1 in Holly, and 1 women's house in Moorhead. So the house is just south of the correctional facility there. We have a gentleman who's just moving out of that house, and he's ready to move on his own. He's getting his own apartment, he's got a job, he's doing great, and he feels ready, that he's confident he can live a different life now. So another thing, and you probably all know way more about this than I do, but about 80% of people that are incarcerated have made a poor choice in their life. They're not necessarily violent, bad people. They've made a poor choice. It could be our family, our brother or sister, our son or daughter, whoever it is, and they don't want that, but they're, for some reason, have some pain in their life that they're trying to mask by medicating. We all medicate with something, and unfortunately, we see a lot of drugs and alcohol with people that are incarcerated. We all medicate with something, whether it be social media or food or shopping. Unfortunately, drugs and alcohol are an altering substance, and it gets people into trouble. So, and it's such an addictive behavior. So we are just there to come alongside, and you all have helped that to happen. Previous Sheriff Bill Berquist and Sheriff Mark Empting is so supportive, and Julie, and there's just a lot of good things going on. So we're just really excited for that. We do have our banquet coming up, which I want to say one little thing about that. Our goal too is to just have the whole county be aware of who we are and what we do, not because we want them to know about us or that we want their money, but because, again, it affects everybody. It affects all of our communities. Right now, our board does represent 5 different churches in the county. And if at any time, if you want the guys from Crossing Home to come to your church, they'll come by invitation and share with you what's going on at Crossing Home. So we're having our banquet coming up, and we just really want the whole county to know some of these services and opportunities that are available, and the life-changing opportunity that Jesus and our faith-based program can offer. And so that's what they need. They need a change in their life to have a different path and different directions. So kudos to all of you for making a lot of this happen. I know it wasn't easy. It was a big task. Because I've been on the township board for 19 years, and all those township meetings we heard about, we're going to get a new jail, we're going to get a new jail. and now there's a new facility. So another thing that we do is we really try to come alongside and encourage law enforcement. We do host a law enforcement appreciation event every year for the families in all of Clay County law enforcement, and that's really been well attended, and we just want to bless them and let them know that we appreciate what they do too. So.
Great report. Thanks, Janice.
Thank you.
Any questions for?
Well, not questions. I heard Shanice talking the other night. I was in Morgan Township, and she was there, and I asked Colleen to get a hold of her and see if she'd talk to us, because I think the county needs to know what's going on in jail ministry. And I think it's a great project. I thank you for what you're doing and stuff like that, and I encourage people in the county to support that. You got that event going on in Marriott, April the 2nd, and people can get involved in that. I think it's just a big thing. We need your help. Thank you for your help.
Yeah.
I do want to
Penny.
say quick, I said to Frank and as I came in, man, we are so lucky to have the jail ministries in Clay County, and you were really instrumental in addressing mental health needs in the correctional facility moving forward, the construction pieces in terms of spacing, and I often hear about what are we doing with the people that are in the jail, that are in the juvenile center. We had that question yesterday at the township meeting, and there really are multi-pronged approaches to helping people deal with this mistake that they've made in their life. And so kudos to your crew. This is a fantastic example of citizens hearing about the issue and understanding where a need could be and moving forward to help address it. The county can't do everything to help people, and obviously that we don't have the tax dollars available to deal with all of these issues, and so what you're doing really does affect a lot of different program areas and helps us to save dollars. And you understand that it deals with, these kids are in our schools and in the juvenile center and the social services and all over. So thank you for your continued presence and what you do.
Absolutely, it's a privilege, and we'd love to have you all as guests at our banquet coming up, so you can just hear a little
We
bit
have
more
our-
and
I have my
just
tickets
continue to
now.
get the support. So thank you so much.
Thanks again. We appreciate what you guys do. Okay, moving on with our agenda. Request approval of amendment to MetroCog Articles of Association. Cindy? Good morning.
Good morning.
As many of you know, I'm on the MetroCog board, and I think, Cindy, this may be your first time to our board meeting, so welcome to you, the new executive director of MetroCog.
Welcome.
Thank you, that's correct. It is my first time before your board, and I was thinking about it as I was sitting there. I think most of you are pretty familiar with what MetroCog does and the role it plays in the metro area, transportation planning and programming, so I won't get into any of that, but I can try to answer any questions you have if you do have any. So the item that I'm here for this morning has to do with one of our organizational documents. It's called the Articles of Association, and these are the documents that kind of set up the structure of MetroCog's board and of our the different members, full member participants on the policy board and in the technical committee and on the executive committee. And at some point in the last, I would say, year and a half, the city of Horace requested to become a full member of MetroCog, and that was actually a really good thing because there is a lot of growth going on there, especially with the school, a large middle school and high school, and they have a lot more growth now than they have in the past. So there's a lot of planning work that needs to be done that includes Horace. Unfortunately, some of the organizational documents, one of them, the bylaws, were updated in order to reflect Horace's inclusion, but there was one step that requires me to come to each one of our participating boards or commissions and or councils to get your approval, and that's the sort of the overarching Articles of Association of MetroCog. And so the reason that those need to be amended is to reflect the addition of another participant in MetroCog. So we would be changing our voting membership from 6 to 7 jurisdictions. It was 6 prior to adding Horace. And then also to amend the membership on our policy board from 15 to 16 to allow for the participation of their voting member. And then also to change our executive committee from 6 members to 7 members. So housekeeping details, and we may need to update them again in the future if Harwood or Sabin or any of the other Glendon decide to become members, but for now, this is where we're at, and just asking for Clay County's approval.
Sounds like a good plan. So, what's the board's wishes?
Well, I will make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the request. Any further discussion?
Just a matter of, they have been actively part of this, and I can say that it's really been a bonus to have them. There's so much overlap in terms of how it is cohesive, and so it's been good to have Horace part of it.
You're gonna need a bigger meeting room here pretty quick, aren't you?
Well,
We are, and we have, we actually have a project in the works to expand our space and remodel. It's long overdue. It's pretty bad, and we're very cramped. We have some meetings where you can barely stand up and move away from your chair when we have a TTC or policy board meetings aren't, well, they get pretty bad too sometimes, but the technical committee meetings get very crowded. So you're right.
Okay, any other discussion? We have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Come back again.
All right. Well,
Okay, next item on the agenda, presentation of pre-sale report and consideration of resolution calling for sale of bonds for the Buffalo Red Watershed District. Shelley and Bruce, come on up. Good morning.
Good morning. What I have in the big file here is the proceedings as petitioned for to the Buffalo Red River Watershed District for the improvement of Clay, partial improvement of Clay Wilkin Judicial Ditch 1. The work area would be located in sections 25, 26, and 27 of Holy Cross Township, and then part of section 30 Alliance Township. This is one of the larger drainage systems, I guess, in the Buffalo Red River Watershed District, i.e. a judicial ditch, so it also involves land in Wilkin County. And over the last 10 years or so here, I guess we've noticed, I think probably because of increased pressure, you know, from drainage of the land, and of course we're also been in some abnormal conditions, more rainfall, and then of course they had the big rain out there, I think in 2015 or 14. And of course no drainage system will handle that, but the people in Clay County on the outlet just noticed that their outlet wasn't working. So what happens, all the water has to drain out of Wilkin County. They sit there 2, 5, 7, 8, 10 days. The water finally goes down, their gates open up, and their water gets drained off their fields. That created an intolerable situation, and I have a map here showing one of the years where probably half the crop on that ditch system was lost. So we started looking at alternatives. We started working with the landowners, and they came up. One option was to put a new ditch on the county line, and that just didn't appear feasible, nor did it provide the benefits we thought it would. So we got looking at the improvement of the outlet. And part of the problem with the outlet today is that it's relatively flat, has like a 0.02% grade. So 3 sets of road culverts would have to be lowered, and we'll get a grade on the outlet, we'll make it a little larger, and that should take care of the problem. It ends up being a fairly expensive project, and that's why Ellers is here and Shelley to talk about that, the bonding needed to make that happen. I think we all know right now that the farm economy isn't that great out there, so we've looked at a 15-year option on payback of these bonds. So here to answer any questions you may have, and I'll let Shelley go into the bond sale and what that process entails.
Thanks, Bruce. Shelley?
Good morning.
Good morning.
You all are not, you all are used to the bonding process.
Oh, yeah.
We'll just put it that way. The process will be the same. The underlying credit and the underlying authority is, however, different than what we've done in the last few years. The authority is for the under the watershed improvement bonds, and 100% of the bonds will be paid back by special assessments. So the bond does not count against your debt limit. However, the county still is pledging its general obligation. So the risk here is if for some reason assessments aren't collected as expected, or and the watershed doesn't have the additional cash necessary to pay for any shortfall from the assessments, then the county would need to come up with some sort of amount to pay those bonds. So that's what the general obligation is. The offside of that, or the flip side of that, is that the interest rates, because of the county's backing on the bonds, the interest rates are going to be substantially lower. So I believe in the past there's never been a problem with that, but one of my jobs is to make sure that you understand the risks of any bonds and what that might do. At this point, it's structured so that the bonds will pay 100, or the assessments will pay 100% of that.
Jenny has a question, Shelley.
One thing I do note, the resolution, Wilkin is spelled incorrectly on the resolution presented, so just know that. My question is, so the special assessment that will be collected to pay for this, some of those properties will be positive or negatively affected by the diversion authority in terms of if the project goes through, that, how will decreased value or whoever the entity holding the property affect the ability to collect the special assessment? Do you know what I'm trying to ask? Okay.
If I could, Commissioners, I would like to answer that. None of the properties involved with Clay Wilkin Judicial Ditch 1 and this proposed improvement right now are shown as impacted by the diversion project, so no impacts. I'd also like to mention, I mean, we're talking flooding, and some of you might be going, okay, now they're going to put in a bigger ditch and more water. Two things in that regard I'd like to, just for the record, state. A, ditch systems are still designed to have like a 10-year capacity.
Right.
So once we get, I mean, when we talk major flooding, those ditches are really, you know, they're carrying a 10-year water flow. Number two is the water from this ditch system would be in what we call the early zone. So the best thing to do with this water, this should be in ahead of any peaks that would occur, for example, in Fargo-Moorhead. So just wanted that for the record.
So there's no concern in my guess the stem of my question was there's no concern in our ability to collect the special assessment based on how the property ownership going forward?
Should not. I mean, that's the way ditches have been built since the late 1800s, is property assessments against the benefited landowners. This went through 2 different hearings. They know what their assessments are, and why they went to 15 years is some of these costs are going to be upwards of about $120 an acre. So that's major improvements to your land. And of course, again, we know the economy right now in the farm sector is not that good. So they just felt it. When you look at the map and see half of the crop drowned out in 30 square miles, that's not making them money either. So they feel this improvement is needed, and why.
And I think they were well represented at the hearing. You had a lot of input and presence.
Well, when you're talking these kind of costs, they took attention.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Shelley, did you have more information for us? We got her?
Not unless you want any more.
No.
You're pretty familiar
We
with
are.
these reports and what all the terms are. Again, I'll just, for the record, the premium bid, again, we're continuing to see premium bids. So we may end up with more than we ask for, which means because the bids are the project amount has been set because they've received the bids.
Okay.
We most likely will be reducing the par if we receive a premium.
That's another important note. I don't know if we've said this, is that bids came in about $450,000
Yes,
under
less.
the estimate. So.
Yeah, and we adjusted that number so that the bond sale reflects the actual amount versus the engineer's estimate. So that was a great bid for those people out there. They saved substantial funding.
And if again, you know I love my picture. The little green line, this is what we like to see with the little green line trending down. So the more recent rates have been kind of trending down, so that's always a good thing if that continues for the next month. Knock on wood. We'll get really, really good interest rates on the bonds as well. So.
Good. Any other questions for Bruce or Shelley? What are the board's wishes on the resolution?
I'll make a motion to approve the bond.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay,
See you in a month.
there you go.
Thank you very much,
Thanks.
Commissioners. It'll be a project that'll get built this summer, so.
Good. Thank you.
Completed.
Okay, next item, Highway Department items. Dave and Eric's still here. Maybe start going, Dave. What do you think?
I don't know, I'm trying. Someone threatened to lock him in his office.
Maybe the road will flood and he won't be able to go north.
We've got 3 items on our agenda for today. First item being our approval to
advertise for a countywide seal coating project. These are all projects that were anywhere in the last 3 to 5 and maybe a couple of them out to 7 years, depending on location. We tried to lump them in an area that makes sense, you know, rather than have them scattered throughout the county. Eric's been working with our guys and put together a real nice seal coat plan, looking at a proposed bid letting date of April 23rd on that one. And if we could just get permission to advertise and with that letting date.
Make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the request to advertise for the seal coat and stripping project. Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay.
Item B, proposed equipment. We got a couple of items here. Unit 164 is our backhoe. We've been working with a couple local vendors on that. On Monday, I did find out that there was a little discrepancy on the warranties. They weren't quite equal, so we equalized those. The John Deere warranty actually went down a little bit, so we went 2,000 hours instead of 4,000 hours on them. I think we've only put a couple thousand hours in 10 years on the existing backhoe that we have, so we didn't need to have a 4,000 hour warranty on one and a 2,000 on the other quote. So that when I handed out the new abstract there, it lowered the RDO number a little bit. The RDO equipment, the John Deere 160 is about $200 less, whereas the information I sent out last Thursday showed them about $2,600 apart. I've been talking to our guys, our maintenance supervisor, and they've requested the CAT piece of equipment based on several things, functionality on how it operates, some of the options that it comes with, as well as we feel we may see a little better resale when we get to replacement on it after 84 months.
Okay.
With that being said, the new equipment, the new CAT is $154,565. They've offered a $50,000 trade. The net cost after trade would be $104,565, and there is about $1,200 in excess in internal service fund for that. And did talk to the auditor, and she was okay with the purchase on that.
Okay. Any questions for Dave on this item?
Is this taking all 3 of these units in? I mean, on the motion to approve, does that include all 3 items there, or
Well,
just,
the
are we
other
taking
item-
one at a time?
I guess it's up to you. We can maybe just do,
Let's do one motion on it then.
Sure.
Okay, on 164, I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Second.
Motion, is it all of them or just 164?
Just 164, I
Okay.
guess.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the unit 164. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, the next one, 143 W1.
yeah, the next 2 items are walk and roll packers. I look back historically on that. You know, it was something that we started purchasing back in, I think it was 2007, and we bought them in many different phases. We got 11 of these. You know, we have 1 on each motor grader. We bought 2 in 07, and I think we bought 2 more in 08. And we bought 7 assemblies so that they can be put on each machine. So there's a lift assembly that sits on the machine, and then the wheels that get hauled behind. Then we bought 2 more in 09, 2 more in 13, and 2 more in 14. So the plan is not to have them all at one time. But anyway, we would like to replace the first 2. You know, they're about 12 years old, which is the life that we put on when we initially bought them. The plan for the existing 2 is to kind of cobble them together to make one good one and put it on our 12th machine, because we do have a spare motor grader that does not have wheels on it. So if there's one machine that's down and one of the operators has to use the spare, then he'll still have a walk and roll on there. So that was our plan there. There again, the internal service fund was put together just about perfect. I believe there's in excess of about $452 in there, in addition to the new purchase. So it's the same piece of equipment from the same company that we bought back in 2007.
I guess what we discussed at highway tracking meeting there too, there's no salvage value as far as trade-in, and like Dave was saying, they're gonna salvage 1 and 2 of them and make 1 out of it, so I'll make a motion to approve.
Both units?
Yeah,
It's for both.
smoking.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Okay, item C, approval of Oakport memorandum of understanding.
Yeah, we've been asked by the township to help them with their local road improvement grant that they have for the construction of grading and paving on 15th Avenue. The project is pretty much ready to go to the newspapers. We're working today fast and furiously on getting right-of-way. There's one little piece of right-of-way on the very west side of the project, on the north side of 15th Avenue. We've been in contact with Oakport Township to see where they're at, the information, the easement. We're asking for a $0 easement, which is what the townships typically do on projects like this for bridge replacements. It's a very, very small piece of right-of-way. There's been some consideration given for some accesses to the parcel, which we're hoping that would be a good kind of a trade for the small amount of right-of-way that we need. The deal is 15th Avenue going east and west of 34th Street, they don't line up perfect. And when they built when the city built the road going to the west there, they got a little hook in there because they got on-lane bike paths and stuff like that. So what we're trying to do is match the roads up as good as we can. And there's a current little curve in the gravel road now, isn't there?
Yeah, a little bit.
And so we, a lot of times when things are constructed on site versus on paper, you can do them a lot easier out in the field, but when you actually put curves and things, design them in there the way the actually surveying software has it in there. So anyway, there's a very, very small amount of right-of-way. What we'd like to do today is if we could get approval on the MOU, now that we got that back from Oakport, and then also get approval to go to advertise for this thing. We're tentatively looking at, is it April 23rd on that one as well? The ads have to get in the paper today. If we don't feel comfortable and get the ads in the paper, being that there's not a fifth board meeting in April, we'd look at May 7th. So we're really going to push for April 23rd if we can for a bid letting date.
Okay,
I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
we have a motion and a second to approve the memorandum of understanding with Oakport and the approval to advertise for bids on the 15th Avenue project. Any further discussion?
Can you extend that another mile or whatever?
Sure be nice, yeah, I agree. I wish that grant was a little bigger. That'd be nice.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Committee reports, Jenny.
Thank you. Last week I attended the Clay County Extension Committee meeting. There are lots of great work being done by those staff. Rosie gave a good report on some classes that she's teaching, on some food system issues, and the egg, they had a couple egg meetings with some producers, and then 4-H and the youth development piece is continuing to be quite utilized in terms of our elementary schools in Clay County. So good reports there. I attended the Soil and Water Conservation District meeting on Thursday. They are quite busy in terms of lots of meetings. Their presence at the One Watershed, One Plan for Buffalo Red and the Wild Rice is taking a lot of time, but it's a good discussion going forward there. I talked to Kevin a little bit, both Commissioner Haney and I were there, about that proposal that they had for you if the county would be wanting to act as a co-signer or host for some type of loan program, and both Commissioner Haney and I would like to just have more presentations on that. We didn't feel the board had enough information to go forward on that. So if you'll work with Kevin to come up with a date, Jim and I would like to take part in that conversation. And good input from the tree sales. They had good purchases during Tree Week, lots of trees going in the ground there. And then there was one other issue we spent a lot of...
Pollinator project.
Yeah, we talked about the pollinator project. Going forward, hopefully we'll get those trees burned so we can get that in the ground, because I'm excited about that partnership there. I had a meeting with the Lakeland Mental Health CEO as chair. We discussed some ongoing issues there and talked about the legal contract a little bit. Yesterday I attended the township meeting. great turnout there from not only township supervisors, but also county staff, so thank you to the county staff that were there and presented. Gabe offered some, Gabe Tweeten, who gave us a report earlier, some good dialogue in terms of what townships need to do with flooding and documentation there. Good questions from them, a lot of what the county programs are and going, how we can continue to collaborate and work together going forward. I was a little late to that because I was at the 4-H fruit delivery day, and the youth in Clay County sold almost $60,000 worth of fruit, and so you talk about kids that are doing great things. That's big. It's a big fundraiser for them. So there was a whole truckload of fruit that needed to be separated. But where I'm going with this is the highway department crew was there early scrubbing the floor so that it was clean. And I just really want to thank the highway workers for giving their time to open that up, because it really works swell to have that available. So thank you to them for doing that. And I believe that concludes my report.
Thank you, Frank.
Okay. Good. Guess we already covered the highway, pretty much the highway tracking meeting I had Tuesday morning. We read about those items up in our agenda. The other thing on the highway tracking, there's a meeting, an open forum on Thursday at 5:30 to 7:30. They're going to be at the highway department to present their plan to the public, and they can have their input at that time. Tuesday evening, I went to Morgan Township for their meeting, township meeting, and several other guys. I mean, Sheriff Empton was up there, Gabe Tweeten was up there, and Shanice Stahl was talking about jail ministry up there, and they had a good program up there, and it's just an active town, a very active township up there. It's good to see that up there. It was a Friday morning. I went to the Sheriff Awards. Mark Empton presented the awards to about I think 6 of his deputies or something, and some other guys. They were given awards for their life-saving functions that they did. So glad to see that going on. Yesterday I also attended the township meeting. Wednesday, I guess I was at the extension. I think that Jenny's already reported on. I was very impressed with that fruit sales. I mean, that's a lot of fruit gone in at this time of the year and stuff to try and get that protected, stuff like that. I was also interested to find out that the happiest mode of transportation is bicycling, and so I guess they're working on trying to get this bicycling going, and I guess that's why you see a lot of times when we put a road in there, they always put in a trail for a bicycle in there, you know. I don't know if there's much smiling going on when you're eating bicycling or not. You're probably eating bugs if you do, but
When it's
whatever.
frozen 8 months a year, maybe it's not an issue.
All the times when you're out there, I guess, so. Then the township meeting yesterday, yes. And I do want to thank them. I don't know, we must have had around over a dozen people out there from the county. And, you know, that really makes their meeting when the county people are out there. And I'm really happy that they come out there to present there. And it was just it was a good meeting. It makes their meeting very good. And that's what they're looking for information. It's good to show that contact and stuff like that. So thank you to the staff that went out there and helped out with that. So those are my meetings.
Thank you. Jim?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On Wednesday, along with yourself and Councilmember Hendrickson from the Moorhead City Council, we attended the ITV hookup for the Northwest Radio Emergency Communications Board. And the major item discussed was quorum difficulties that we've had with this organization, being so scattered so widely, but they did have the ITV hookups worked well this time, and I think we had 9 or 10 counties involved so we had plenty of people there for a quorum. And then we discussed having penalties for not attending and not being absent instead of present in these meetings. And then we just discussed we approved some language changes in the bylaws, and that was it. So, did I miss anything on it?
No?
No. Okay. And then on Thursday, I attended, along with Commissioner Mojo, the Soil and Water Conservation District of Clay County meeting, and it was just as what she reported. And that was my meetings for the week.
Thank you.
Excuse me, just a minute. I think I said that highway plan meeting, I think I said Thursday.
I think it's
don't know.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday on the, that's tomorrow from 5:30 to 7:30, so I'm not quite sure if I said Thursday or not.
Okay, let's see, the Commissioner Haney already reported on the radio board meeting that I was at. I also attended the award ceremony for the sheriff's office, and that was a nice event. The room was full. It was a good crowd, so that went very well. Yesterday, I had the Area Agency on Aging meeting in Manoman, and we don't meet that often now, but so we had updates from the staff, and they still do an amazing things with seniors in our area, and the Dancing Sky Agency on Aging encompasses 21 counties, so there's nearly a population in all those counties of over 400,000 people, and so deals with a lot of seniors and a lot of good things are being done. And let's see, that was it for me. Steve? Oh, Jenny, you had
Sorry, I
something?
apologize. I have a couple things. Tonight is the MetroCog Public Input Opportunity for 12th Avenue Corridor Study in Moorhead. It's from 5 to 6:30 at Concordia College. And then the other question I had is, when we're at the Soil and Water, they referenced a meeting on March 27th, the Geologic Atlas Workshop that Planning and Zoning was
Yes.
doing. Is that still on?
It's still on, yep.
Okay.
Yep,
So
the
you're-
invitations have been sent out, everything's been secured.
Okay, so
Yep.
we're good there.
Yep.
All right. Thanks.
When you're talking about soil and water, they also had a question on aquatic species. Is there a grant that is available?
Right, I think we are the host for a small amount of that with planning and zoning, but when we met with the DNR commissioner, we referenced the AIS. Did Soil and Water ask you about that?
Yes, they want to know what they can do to help out with that,
Okay.
or they would help, you know. So if there's money available to be, I mean, they're willing to help out to whatever needs to be done to that.
Okay. No report for me.
Oh, yeah, you were on vacation, so. And Darren, thanks for keeping everything going while Steve was on vacation, so you did a great job, so thank you. No.
Got one more item here. I see the MCIT goals that came out, they said something about no-cost kits for vehicle accidents or something like that. Do we participate in that, or I probably have to talk to Joe about it. They had some accident kits or something like that available for free, you know.
Okay.
So I don't know if you saw that, MCIT, or who's in charge of that, but I think we should put them in our vehicles.
Okay.
Tony, anything?
No, nothing.
Okay. Colleen, anything you have for us? Okay, we're adjourned.